Yep.
Listen to the former president last night.
This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here. I think it's just a disgrace. And we'll keep fighting. We'll fight till the end, and we'll win. Because our country's gone to hell. And we will fight for our Constitution. This is long from over.
So what's going to happen? Let's bring in the great one, Life, Liberty, and Levin, the host, Mark Levin. Mark, you've been watching all this play out for 6 weeks. The jury decided that he was guilty after the judge stacked the deck. What's your reaction?
A couple of things. First of all, my reaction is that the Democrat Party has completely destroyed our electoral system. Jack Smith has criminalized what used to be legitimate, although rough and tumble politics, challenging of elections, separate slates of electors. We've done that in our history. He's actually charged Trump related to free speech comments and so forth and so on. And you combine that with Mershon and Bragg, who have now criminalized we don't know what, affecting an election. We don't have the foggiest idea what is legal or illegal anymore in our federal election. And that's part of the problem. I'll get to that in a minute. That's number one. Number two, we have half the country cheering the fact that the Constitution of the United States was shredded, that you literally had a Stalinist-like show trial. We don't know what the predicate crime is. You've heard it all. We don't know what the elements are. The jury instructions are something out of Kafka. And Joe Biden is perfectly happy with it. We have an autocratic Democrat Party that will do anything to win, change the election laws, tax Supreme Court justices, the border's wide open so they can win more congressional seats under the census count. The Democrat Party embraces the river to the sea crowd, the anti-Semites, just the way they embraced the racists in the 1950s and 60s. The Democrat Party is destroying this country. That's number one, as a citizen. Number two, I don't mean to upset anybody, but there are lawyers who do different kinds of things, who have different kinds of experiences. I've spent 40 years litigating against these people. I spent 40 years litigating against the federal government and state governments as president of Landmark Legal Foundation, and now its chairman. We've taken up cases we said we could never win. The whole issue of school choice is now an option because Landmark Legal Foundation spent 20 years litigating this in the state of Wisconsin in the U.S. Supreme Court. We were told we couldn't win. We won. Bill Clinton was held in contempt because we filed something called a letter of judicial notice, which nobody really does, with Judge Susan Wright in the late 1990s to inform her that she should hold Bill Clinton in contempt. She waited until after the impeachment, and that letter was the basis of most of her ruling. I cannot tell you how many times I have been told by lawyers and others, you're not going to win, you're not going to win. The job of a lawyer advocate is to try and find a serious, substantive, even if it's rarely used, avenue to represent your client. You have been told over and over, we've heard over and over again, from people who have different experiences than I do, and know the New York Appellate system. What have they said? They basically said justice denied is okay. Well, get it eventually. The whole purpose of this case was to affect the election. And so when you say, we'll have a reversal, but it's going to take time, it'll be after the election, then the evil actions that were done, the unconstitutional actions that were done, all the hand-wringing that's been done by lawyers and others for the past 6 weeks will be rewarded. When you say that Mershon doesn't care about the appeal because he got what he wanted to get, what's your response? Oh, well, maybe 5 years from now, the American people will rise up and we'll change our legal system. We can't change our legal system. It's not subject to vote. It's not subject to popular sovereignty. That's the whole point. Judges at the federal level are appointed for life. These Democrat judges in these Democrat areas, they don't give a damn what I say or anybody on Fox says. They have a constituency. Mershon's constituency is the same as Alvin Bragg's. So the question is this: do we allow this to go by without trying to bring the matter to the steps of the Supreme Court, whether the Supreme Court takes it or not? I'm not Nostradamus. Maybe there's a 10% chance, but the country's worth it. And so what an advocate like I do, I deal in the appellate and Supreme Court realm, not at the trial court realm, although we can comment on it. How do you get this case out of the mire of New York, which takes a long time, the New York lawyers are telling us, which will be done after the election, the New York lawyers are telling us. What do? Well, we sit here and we wring our hands and whine about it. No, we don't. We try, even if we fail, to pave a way to the United States Supreme Court. Now, why is this important to the United States Supreme Court? For multiple reasons. You've had lawyers on your program and others say, this case has a national impact. This case, a state judge, an acting state judge, took federal jurisdiction. Is the Supreme Court happy with an acting state judge taking federal jurisdiction over a presidential campaign and federal campaign laws? I'm betting not. Why? Because there's thousands of these judges in 50 states. There's tens of thousands of these state prosecutors in 50 states. Where it stands now is they can do whatever the hell they want to do. No due process, no predicate crimes, no elements to be proven. So is New York, the appellate courts in New York, they're going to decide for the whole damn country what goes on in Minnesota and California and Kansas and Oklahoma? No. No. And we're going to reward the timing, the Bragg-Mershon timing, right smack in the middle of the damn election to affect the outcome? No. So you've got to try and come up with creative but substantive and serious legal arguments to try and find a pathway to get out of this mire, this muck, and hope that the Supreme Court will take it and do the right thing. And if they don't, it's over. Now, what do? Well, we look at the last time the Supreme Court got involved in a presidential election. It's very, very rare. But they did in Bush versus Gore. Why did they do that? Because the Florida Supreme Court was out of control. The Florida Supreme Court was changing the election rules. And so the court took it up because they had a petitioner. In fact, the Bush team, they petitioned the court. Well, the court will never take it. But they did take it. And what did they do? Under the Equal Protection Clause of the Fifth Amendment, applies to the state under the 14th Amendment, they said, you treated voters unequally from one county to the next. Certain chads were counted, certain ballots were not counted, and so forth and so on. So the voters are voting, and they don't even know what the rules are. Okay, this is worse. This isn't within a state. This is affecting the whole country. We don't know what our election laws are anymore. We don't even know what election laws are used. Candidates don't know. Presidential candidates don't know. You cannot allow a single judge to determine what our federal campaign laws are, what a presidential election is going to look like, and trying to influence a presidential election. One judge. You cannot have that in this country. We can't sit back and say, okay, it's going up the New York judicial process. It'll be reversed. It won't be in time. The impact is national. The impact is right now in the middle of a presidential election. Right. So Bush v. Gore seems to me to suggest that the court might be receptive to it. I don't know. And the way you get it to the court real fast, Brian, because the lawyers out there go, well, I don't know about this. Let me tell you. You bring a writ of certiorari if it's a statutory appeal to the Supreme Court. There's something called a common law writ. It's used very rarely, but it has been used. The court, what a common law writ is the judiciary on its own, based on its own powers and based on its own precedent, can take on a matter regardless of the certiorari on a statute. That is, it can take up a case. So what I would do, just me, I go up the appellate process in New York, because if the court says no, the Supreme Court, that's all you've got if you're Donald Trump. You want to protect your options. You want to protect your rights. You don't want to miss timing, and then this case stands in New York. Right. But simultaneously, if I were Trump's lawyer, I would move for the appellate court to stay any further decisions by the lower court. But then I would try and go to the U.S. Supreme Court and say, Supreme Court, for all the arguments you've heard on this network for 6 weeks, the due process violations were not just of Donald Trump. They were intended for the outcome that took place, to get a guilty verdict, to put a scarlet letter on the Republican candidate, disparate treatment of the Republican Party, Republican voters, Republican candidate, and interference in the election because Donald Trump for 6 weeks has not been able to campaign like a normal candidate, to visit voters, to meet voters, to go to rallies. And voters and ultimately the American people are the victims here because we're not running a normal presidential campaign as a result of a Soros prosecutor and a conflicted judge. That's the issue. There are ways to try and get it to the court. The court can say no, but if you don't ask, you don't get an answer.
Well, you know what? Maybe today at 11 o'clock when Donald Trump takes the stage and does the talking, maybe he will reveal that they're going to try to fast-track things and go directly to the Supreme Court. If so, folks, you heard it here first. Mark, thank you very much for joining us live.
Remember to watch Life, Liberty,
God bless.
and Levin
Thank you, guys.
Saturday and Sundays, 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
He said last night, the judge doesn't respect the law, so why should I respect the judge?
Because you're worried the judge's got another move, and that's the sentencing. If he says, hey, you know what, we'll put you in jail or house arrest
do that.
or weekend
Put him in
arrest.
jail.
Yeah, so they got to find a way to suspend this judge and get him out of there.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.